To me, a seminar is a door that's opening that says, there might be something interesting here. I need to now go and find out more about it. That's it. That's what you're going to get out of an hour's presentation to a seminar. Wow. Well, that was a new way of putting something. I now want to go and learn more about this, not I have learnt this.
What is the best way to learn about dog training? In-person working seminars? How about a webinar? How about a 6-week online course? I'm Sue McGuire, the manager of a canine behavior program at an animal shelter north of San Francisco, and with me, of course, is Laurence of Learning About Dogs. We talk in this episode about all the ways we can access continuing education, and not all venues are created equal. Make no mistake, going to a seminar and getting a certificate is not the same as learning. All right, so learning, lots of different ways to learning. All you have to do is go on Facebook, go on any your chosen website, and you're going to find webinars, you're going to find seminars, you're going to find workshops, you're going to find online learning, different kinds of learning,
And different kinds of teaching.
How do you know?
Different
Yes, and
kinds,
so how do we know?
of sharing information.
How do we start? Where do you start? I mean, let's take it from the standpoint of maybe a bit of a novice owner or maybe even a novice trainer. Where do you start?
Well, it
Goodness
depends.
gracious.
You usually start because there is an objective that you want to achieve, as opposed to go, oh, I've always wanted to train my dog. I don't know how to do it. Where do I go? I don't find many people that have never done anything with dogs think I fancy training a dog. Usually they see somebody doing something with a dog like fly ball or agility or he'll work to music or freestyle, the rest of it, and go, ooh, I'd like to have a go at that. So it's usually the outcome is the carrot, carrot that gets us into the business in the first place.
Yeah.
Or it works off the stick basis where we've got into such a mess that we need some professional help. So where do we go? I don't think it's about who you go to. I think it's about a format of how you learn. And not all formats are created equal. So, a lot of the dog training material out there is focused on how a person teaches a dog to do A to Z, as opposed to how does a person learn how to teach a dog, as opposed to how does a dog learn. So it's always about the teacher, not about the learner. And in this business, there's two learners. There's the person and the dog. So if we turn it around the other way, what would be the best format of learning? Little bit at a time, regular basis, some degree of supervision, and learning in batches where you learn various skills. You check you're learning the skills correctly. You practice the skills. And then you come back and learn a few more. So you're building on what you've learned how to do. But that's not easy. I mean, to teach skills is a bit like probably learning a musical instrument. I don't know that I learned piano from a music teacher in a room with that person. And actually, I think she came to our house and tried to teach everybody when we were younger. But you learned as an individual. You didn't learn in a class. Could you learn that from a seminar? I don't know. And again, we speak about seminars in different ways. What is a seminar to me might not be a seminar to somebody else. What is a conference? What is a workshop? What is a class? They're all different dynamics of how learning is presented and how learning is achieved. But
I think the vast majority of it is passive.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
if you're going to learn
engaged.
piano, and I think learning a musical instrument is probably the closest you're going to get to learning the skills of teaching or facilitating a dog to learn something. There's a lot of skills that have to be learned. I don't know that you can learn it passively. I don't know that you can sit and watch a lecture on training a dog and then go out and do it. I think you need that individual coach that a piano teacher would do, which would show you a different angle of holding a finger or a different way of pressing on a key. How much intensity should it start from your shoulder right the way through to your fingers, or should you just mash it with your fingers. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
technique that has to be learnt and adapted for the individual. I mean, you've worked with people, I've worked with people that when they hold the end of a dog lead, you go, "Ooh, this is going to be trouble." I've even
Yeah.
been at Gordon
Mhm.
Setter shows where somebody came in with a small breed and passed it to somebody else to hold on to while she went to use the facilities. And you could see this person holding this little terrier on the lead, and she held her hand out like it was a shopping bag. It's because it was a small dog, and she's not used to managing a small dog. And it works around the other way. When somebody gets a big dog, they change their arms and hold it in a very different way.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, just just assessing, okay, this is not a relaxed way of holding a dog lead, and the actual piece of equipment gets you to hold it the wrong way. You hold it like a fist. Yes, you stick your hand in the loop and you
Mhm.
hold it like a fist, which, if it's anything bigger than a cocker spaniel, is going to be uncomfortable. Yes, because the strength of gripping your hand to yourself. So those sort of skills to me are a bit like a piano teacher. You've got to be able to teach that individual person how they learn how to be around safely with their dog. And I don't think even in a class situation that is ideal. That is private coaching. Yeah, but
Private coaching.
how many people are prepared to say,
Yeah.
so say you wanted to go, do you play a musical instrument at all? If you wanted to go and learn the
I do.
flute. Oh,
I
do you
do play
really?
the flute. I do.
What did I wanted to go and
I
learn? I
was
went to archery class. I really fancied having a go at
Oh,
archery.
okay.
So he stands us all in a row and we do the hold the finger up and squint on something left, squick on something right, hold the other hand up, and he goes, "Yeah, no, you don't need to pay. You can't do it because you're left-eyed and right-handed." Okay, okay. So I went, and that was it. But I remember having taking a class for we were doing an audition for a group thing for heel work to music, and everyone could already do good heel work with the dogs. That's why they were selected. So we put some music on, and I just watched the room go around, about 20 people there, and most people put their foot down on the beat. Yeah, normal marching band stuff,
Ah.
except for two people. One couldn't even hear the beat, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And the other one lifted her foot up on the beat. Okay. So within a
Huh.
certain amount of time, you're going to go, I'm sure they could achieve it, but this is not going to work as a class because there has to be a entry point where everyone in a class has some degree of common areas that they're going to learn. And
Yes.
yeah, and
Common
even if you
skills.
had
Yeah. Okay.
an intake class of 10 people coming to your center, the chances of those 10 people starting at the same point are very, very low. You're talking
Very
about
low.
people from age 18 to 80 and dogs with
Right.
varying
Exactly.
degrees of issues. So class
Mhm.
learning would work provided everybody begins with roughly the same set of skills. So you could probably work with people on an individual basis, and then once they've all got to some level that you've got established, then they could come onto a group learning session. So what do you get out of group learning? I
Interesting.
think is
Yeah.
definitely advantageous because you can see other people apply common skills. And when you're watching somebody else do it, you learn to do it at the same time. Yep. So you might see one person actually teach a dog how to spin or walk backwards, and you go, oh, and then oh, and that's slightly different, and that's slightly different, and that's slightly different. So each variation of it expands your range of how you could teach it. Whereas if you watch the teacher of a video on the internet, and I've seen this, as I'm so reluctant to use videos for teaching online, is everybody thinks they have to do it the same way I
Do it
do it
that
with my
way.
dog. And nobody is the same as that.
Yes. I cannot tell you how many times I have said that to
Yeah.
my group
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sue, could you just post a video of you doing
No.
it? I could, but then you would think
Yes.
that's how you
Yes.
do it.
And people online, oh well, I can only learn from seeing it. And I go, no, that's because you're learning to imitate somebody else, and that's not what you need to learn to do. Oh, I understand you want to visualize it, but is that's not
Yes.
necessarily. I mean, again, this is our challenge as teachers. How can we break it down to visualize the bits you need to be able to see so you can actually see them in your mind, but not see them to copy them? That's a challenge for us, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
And
so
yeah,
there's a
yeah, yeah. Oof,
comprehension of
big one.
how it should look. So if they watch me train two different dogs. They both might be learning the same thing, but it would look completely different because one is half the size of the other, one is half the age of the other, one is half the temperament of the other, half the experience, so the way they actually physically move is different, so the way I teach them is different. But then you need the skill of being able to watch demonstration, and when you're watching or observing something happen, what do you pick out of it? It's the classic. Um, uh, there's some sort of accident of some sort, and you ask 10 observers, what did you see? 10 people come up with a different
Mhm,
version of it.
mhm,
So being able to watch
mhm.
the expert at something, we underestimate the amount of skill it takes. So I could probably watch you do something with a dog, and because I've watched so many people do things with dogs and had to work out how to identify what area to work on, pretty much as I'm watching you, I can say, oh, I understand how you do this now because I've done it thousands and thousands of times. But if you've never seen somebody demonstrate how we teach a dog to turn a circle, what are you going to watch? You're going to watch the dog. Well, that's no use to you.
Yes.
It's no use to you to watch
Yeah.
the dog because what's the dog doing? Well, it's turning a circle. Okay, but what did the person do? Oh, I didn't watch the person. Okay, where were their feet
Uh,
placed? Oh, I don't know. Did they stand still or did they
well,
move? Oh, I don't know. Did they do it with their
yeah.
left hand or their right hand? I don't know.
And the and did the dog come toward her or
Yeah,
come out? Or I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Closed turns and open turns. And where did the dog start from? And where
Yes.
did the dog finish? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and where do they end?
So many questions to ask.
Yes.
So the whole format of learning, I think I would like to learn too, and then look at what's available out there. So if we sit in something like a lecture, which is often a seminar, you would consider a lecture as a seminar,
Mhm.
yes. It's a mixture of
Yeah.
often slides, talking, and videos. Yep. And we sit there, some of us take notes on it. I personally never give out
Yes.
notes. Yes, I know it annoys people because then they have to write everything down. I want you to actually sit and learn what you need to learn. But note taking is a skill as well. What do you write down? Do you write down stuff
Yes.
that you want to think about later on? Yes, not verbatim what they're saying. And I have a habit when I have a notebook, and it always surprises me when people give lectures or seminars and you have to try and write on your lap. Yes, as opposed to a table. To me,
Oh,
that's an
yes.
insult into the amount of information that you're being given. If it's worthy information, you should at least have the opportunity to sit at a table so you can write properly, or put your computer on there so you can key in what you want to key in. So,
Interesting that you say that because this last weekend, there were tables
wow.
available, but they didn't use them, and I thought to myself, "Should I tell them to sit
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
table
yeah,
because it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
easier on them?" But I just observed them not
No,
doing
to
it.
me, it's, yeah, and some people don't like it because it makes it too formal. Well, if I value this information, I want to be able to write it down easily. I don't want to struggle with paper on my lap and a book on my lap. So I always use
Mhm.
a notepad that will open flat. So it's got like often the type of edge that will lie flat. And on the right hand
Ooh.
side, I write what the speaker is saying. But then on the left hand side, I might put down
Mhm.
a few notes as my own thinking because I've actually written notes before now, and I thought, did I think that, or was that them? So I like to know which is
Yeah,
my own.
yeah.
Must go out and have a look at this, or maybe this is what they're talking about. Would this be a good example? Those are my notes I write on the left, and then the speaker's stuff I write on the right. Nowadays, if it's something that you
Mhm.
need to get down absolutely verbatim from a slide, take a picture with your phone.
Take a
And to
picture,
me, nobody
absolutely.
needs notes. You with me? If you've got the notes in advance, I don't see any benefit to having PowerPoint. You might just well read the notes.
And most of the time, you can't remember what was the salient point off that
Well, and
slide
if it's
anyway.
that dense in information, to me, it's not the point of using PowerPoint. When you get the speakers
Exactly,
just
yeah.
reads off their own screen. Well, why don't you just give them the notes? What's the point in you being there?
Right.
So
Yeah,
it should maybe sum
yeah.
something up, or it should illustrate something that you're unable to express in any other way. Or um, there was one presentation I went to, and I think he had run something like 96 pictures of dogs he ran through over an hour and just talked. And what he talked about had nothing to do with the pictures, but what he talked about, you remembered because of the pictures going through behind him. Wasn't that interesting? Yeah, yeah. The
Interesting.
power of him just talking about da 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 da, and I thought, ooh, that was a very memorable very memorable. He didn't want us to take notes. It wasn't about the written word. It was about how you listened to what his experiences were. So it was like a life story, but I thought it was very interesting format. So lecture,
Mm.
if it's a critical lecture where you can't afford, I mean, lectures vary from a bit of entertainment. When we're doing these conferences, it's mixed lectures, mixed people presenting all the way through it. You want something that might be, oh, this is new, and I'm going to present a theory about something, and we're going to take it bit by bit. And as we take it bit by bit, I want you to integrate it with what you've already understood. But if you can only lecture, you can't find out whether people are integrating this well or not. So if we're talking
Yeah, you
about,
can't.
say, teaching a dog, luring a dog to go round in a circle, in a spin. Now, the first time I read Don't Shoot the Dog, first thing I taught was you could teach a dog to turn round in a circle just by clicking for the head turn. So I sat there with breakfast, toast, and a pen that clicked on the top because we hadn't got clickers to use. Oh my goodness. Back in the olden days, you can get hold of a clicker. And poor
Oh,
dear
goodness.
Clover, she stood there and she twitched her head from side to side. And it looked like she was having a bit of a seizure, this twitch kept happening. We got the head moved, but somebody forgot to put in the notes, if the eyeballs don't go, their body will not turn round. So the eyeballs have absolutely got to go with the head, as opposed to the eyeballs stared at the toast and all she did was twitch her head. So, if
Yeah.
you read the notes, it was almost impossible to actually teach because there wasn't enough salient information in it. Um, but it was a book
Interesting.
about an illustration of how you could do something, not this is the instruction sheet on how you do something. So diverting a bit, but when I was about 10 or 11, I wanted to learn how to throw my voice, be a ventriloquist. So I got a book out of the library on how to throw your voice, and I read it from cover to cover. And I was so disappointed because it never actually told you how to throw your voice. And I remember my father having to explain to me, but they don't. It's an illusion. And I was so cross. He said, apparently I was cross for about a week.
Oh,
And I took that book back to the library and told them it was a lie. The whole thing was a lie. So you can imagine, you can actually say, but I want to learn how to do this, but it doesn't tell me how to do it. So
good. Yeah.
if I was going to teach your dog to turn around in a circle, I first got to teach you how to lure and what the skill of luring looks like and what it looks like when the dog is actually following a lure. Yeah, and all the other technology it's going to go in to be able to do this successfully. If I gave a lecture on that, say after 20 minutes of showing you how I do it, this is how we build it, this is how I do it, yada, 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 you'd go away and then go, oh, what did you do first? How could you lecture how to play a piano? How to learn how to play a piano. You couldn't possibly, because you have to go away and experience what you're trying to learn and sense what it feels like. This is what rather upsets me about copying to learn, or imitating to learn something. Unless you actually sense what it feels like to do it, and you take that feeling and integrate it with how you do other things in your life, integrate it with your previous knowledge, you can't then take on the next piece of knowledge. So being able to teach a dog to go turn around in a circle, well, absolutely. Can we teach the dog to move from side to side? Sure, I just wave my hand from side to side. No, no, no. How about if you just step from
No, no,
side
no.
to side and look like you're going to go that way? Would the dog look to go with you? Well, fancy that. And if you step the other way and you step to the left and you step to the right, what does stepping to the left and the right look like? How does it feel? You have to feel what that is, because that's the opening behavior of teaching the dog to turn in a circle. So, that's something you would learn on a little bit at a time basis, and your teacher would make sure you get the fundamental part right and then give you the next piece of information. But what we see is all this information's in a 4 list. Here you go. Yeah, I can do all this. I can do all that. I've heard all that before. Yeah, I'm going to jump to step 12 because in my mind, I know all that stuff. And then I do step 12 and it doesn't work. Oh, well, then it's rubbish.
Yeah. I can't throw my
Well,
voice.
yes.
Rubbish.
So it's different formats of learning. I think we are being sold that you can listen to a seminar and then come away from that with a whole bunch of information. To me, a seminar is a door that's opening that says, there might be something interesting here. I need to now go and find out more about it. That's it. That's what you're going to
Yes.
get out of an hour's presentation to a seminar. Wow. Well, that was a new way of putting something. I now want to go and learn more about this, not I have learnt this. So I always feel when people come to say, I mean, we just done a 3 or 4 days presentations, workshops. I like, if I was going to a conference and there's many multi-presenters, I want some stuff that's really going to make me think, some stuff that's just really enjoyable to sit back and watch and enjoy, like not like an entertainment, but a different life story. And then other stuff that's going to really go, ooh, I must investigate that further. Where do I go next? And that's where I want those links to be able to start off from a person who's got all that expertise. It's like they're coming in with this whole trail of stuff behind them. And they've said, if you look in this door, I have filled this room full of 1,842 pieces of information. Some of it is books, some of it is videos, some of it's experience, some of it is, different types of learning formats, and it's available for you to explore. Cool. Or they could open this door and
Wow.
say, I have filled this room with this, that, and the other. Go, that's very interesting, but that's not really what I'm looking for at the moment. So to me, a seminar is these little doors that are opening that are future opportunities for you to explore. That's nothing like a class where I'm learning how to do something for me as an individual on a one-by-one basis, and the class teacher is showing me how I adapt myself to be able to learn this skill. I mean, to me,
Mm-hmm.
a webinar is a lecture that you can sit at home. The best thing about a webinar that's on your computer is you can listen to it while you do the ironing. Don't tell anybody I did that. And you can stop it and take notes if you want to. So
Yes.
you can
Yes.
go back, go forwards, go back, go forwards. So, but it's still just a lecture or a presentation on PowerPoint slides. It's still
Yeah.
just a lecture.
Yeah.
As a presenter, I need feedback from the people I'm presenting to present cold to a screen. This is why I take my hat off to these people that do all this animated presentation to camera, like in a studio where there's no people whatsoever. And they have to get all excited about something and keep looking at the little red dot and yeah, 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 yeah. And I go like, oh my God. And then they do it again and again and again and again and again. So talented. We did some advert for some shampoo, and this actress had to be riding a bicycle along a pathway with the collie running alongside, look at my lovely hair, turn to camera, say the thing. So in the basket of the bicycle is the dog's toy. No surprise there. So he trundles along by the
Oh,
side of her.
goodness.
33 takes. 33
Oh my
times she
gosh.
had to do this. And she was as good as gold. The light wasn't right. The hair wasn't right. They changed her clothes. They did this. They did that. They got another bike in. They went from the left to the right to the left. Every single time she just did exactly. I mean, the skill was just phenomenal. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Connie didn't care a damn. He would do it 106 times. But to be able to come out with that over and over again and just adapt slightly emphasis, or when she went past a certain daffodil, then she had to, just magical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so presenting cold when you're not getting feedback from the people that are learning or seeing how they learn what they're doing is a completely different skill from teaching one person how to do something one at a time. It's not the gifted lecturer. It's about facilitating learning to happen in this environment. And that comes from our teacher's ability to actually assess what learning is happening, and our learners to come along with the expectation of what am I probably going to learn from this experience.
And to that, it's the habit of passive learning, or I don't want to do this in front of a group of people.
Well, there are damaged learners, but if you are learning, to be honest, learning to play the piano wasn't exactly a bunch of bowl of cherries. I
Mhm.
don't imagine. I don't remember enjoying it. I do not remember enjoying it at all, because music theory when you're 8 or 9 years old, and some of the pieces they got you to play, yeah, no, it wasn't. It was not
Yeah.
cool, and you'd laboured through this because your parents had paid for it. But no, I didn't get any pleasure in this for probably 8 or 9 years, and it was.
Do you still
If I had
play?
a piano, I probably would. I was toying with buying one of those electronic keyboards, but yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah. As it turned out, I didn't learn the same as everybody else. That's why I struggled so much on it. So I can
Mm.
remember
I
if she played the piece to me, I could actually remember a lot of it. And then it seemed like I was reading music, but I wasn't. I was remembering what she had played. So I could actually,
ah.
like the Vitrin, I was conning her that I'd learnt it and I hadn't. And she thought I had, but I hadn't. So she would give, sorry.
But, my go ahead. No, my father was a musician, professional musician, and he was always fascinated by me. He was he could read music, he understood theory, but this was back in the 50s and 60s, and he used to play in Las Vegas in those pits for the,
Oh, right.
the
Yes, yes.
singers
Yeah.
and whatnot. And he said probably a good half of the musicians in his bands
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just learned it by ear,
Yeah.
heard it
Yeah.
once or
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And that was not the school of music that I went to. In fact, they probably
Mhm.
totally dismissed that form of learning music. You with me? Because you,
Oh,
you had
that's
to learn it
sad.
properly. You had to learn, you know, yeah, it was completely
Yeah.
not a gift as far as they were concerned.
Hmm. That's how we get our good improvisers in music is people who are very
Yeah,
good at
yeah,
hearing,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but, maybe understand what
yeah,
key they're in.
yeah, yeah.
But, I was always very poor at, improvising
Well, yeah, yeah,
because I could
yeah,
never
yeah.
remember what key I
It's,
was
it's
in.
jazz absolutely kills me. Really, oof, yeah.
Oh, it
No,
is
I'm sorry. I think it's
amazing.
hideous, but never mind.
But you were listening to the wrong kind of
But even
jazz.
now, I mean, I went to a concert the other day, and I could no more sit and listen. I have to watch these musicians play, and I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat watching them, and the person next to me looked like they were half asleep. Yes, because they had their eyes shut and they were listening to what was going on. And I'm watching the person over here doing this, and I'm watching what the cellos. Oh, and that's that bit doing that. Wow, I didn't know that instrument made that noise. So to me, the music was always a very visual thing to see how the person did it and does it.
Oh,
So yeah, but
interesting.
this is what individual learning's about. And somewhere along the line, we have to work out. We can't just say, "I find this the easiest way, so I can only learn this way," or you say if it's a naive learner, this is probably the way to get them started. But if I was going to do music at any degree, I had to come find another way of learning the music theory. Yes, I had to find another way of learning all the full range of key changes on what the harmonies were going to be and how you coordinate different elements. That aspect I never grasped, but it just wasn't explained to me in a way that I could actually get my head around it. But I
Mhm.
wish I had.
That
Well,
makes me
because now,
sad.
I mean, I've worked
Yeah.
with people in here, worked to music, who have absolutely no musical background whatsoever, but they're very musical people because they move to music. They're dancers. Yes, so they're doing
Yes.
routines with the
Yes.
dog, and we could have the whole ring. And I go, okay, I want you to draw the routine on paper. Where are you going to go? What way are you facing? Oh, okay. Get the piece of paper, yeah, and they'll draw it, and they go over here and they do the do bit down there, and then they go around here, and then this is a bit there, and you can see the whole thing, and they know exactly where they're going to be in the ring, what way they're facing, and as the flute does that bit, that's the weavy bit, and that's the spinny bit. Yeah, like they can visualize the whole thing step by step by step by step by step, but have no idea what instrument it is or why. Or this bit's difficult because it's gone from 4/4 to 3/4 back to 4/4,
3, 4.
and I find that bit so hard. And they're
Yeah.
going, well, because oh really? Oh well, never mind. Oh, there you go. And I'm like, whew. So there's sort of it's this mixture of all these abilities. You could get somebody who's moves extremely well, like a gymnast, but has no ear for music. They're probably not going to be a dancer. They're going to be a gymnast, but they'd have a certain degree of rhythm when they're actually moving. Yes, that works to them, but they are the person that pick their foot up on the beat, not put it down on the beat. So, but this comes into dog training as well. We've all had people come to class, and you're going, "Oh my goodness." Yes,
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
You know,
Where
every
do I
time
begin?
they've got a conversation, basically their dog's backside is looking at them, because they love their dogs dearly, and I'm sure
Yeah.
their dogs have a lot of affection for them, but no connection whatsoever, no animal empathy that, the dog shouldn't have
Mhm.
to sit, and the dog should do this, and the dog should do that, and okay, we've got a long way to go here. A lot more theory to do. So yeah, learning comes in lots
Yeah.
of different
Mm.
formats, and I think it's as much the learner's responsibility to look for learning in the right format to suit what they need now, not what they're told is
Yeah.
available. Yeah. Oh, well, you can
Yeah.
buy video on
Yeah.
this. You can do an online course on that. You can go to a lecture on this. You can listen to this. You can do this. You can do another. So, yeah, okay. So you look at all of them and you then go, I want to learn more on this. Could I learn it by? Can I learn it here? Could I find somebody to individually coach me on that skill? You find a way around it if you've got the
Yes.
motivation to
Yes.
do it.
Yes. I want to talk about one thing that I've always kind of scratched my head about is working slots at
Ooh,
seminars.
yes, yes. Well, yeah.
Um,
See, these
I feel like it's the I feel like it's the third rail of dog
it's a
training.
very, very
Don't want to
difficult
touch that.
thing. I mean, the first time I came over to the States, they said there was a bunch of auditors. These people are auditing. Now, to me, an auditor is somebody who does accounts. And I said, well, what are they
Yeah.
auditing? I understand it now. You were just listening. Yeah, an
I
auditor.
mean, uh-huh.
And we call them spectators because to me
Mhm.
they're watching rather than listening. You're doing both. Yeah, non-participants. So they're going to sit somebody and watch, listen a bit, and watch somebody else train the dog. Cool. So we'd had a television series over here called Masterclasses, and you could go to back to music again. I remember watching a masterclass with Daniel Barenboim were taking these top level students from probably academy, and he was working on a particular piece of music with them and just refining it or adding bits and pieces. I mean, he knew this piece of music inside out, upwards, downwards, backwards, and the opportunity to work with him was a true gift for these students. But there were people watching, and those people watching, and I was fascinated. It made to me great television to watch somebody teach somebody else at that level. That was a masterclass. And there were subtleties that we had never even thought of. And the way he expressed them, you just thought, I want to go and have a go with this. It was very inspiring to watch it. So if I'd been an auditor there, I would have put the thing on hold and gone and had a practice at it. But when we're doing these
Mhm.
mixed presentation and we have a few dogs to demonstrate with, I always think it's a I personally don't think. I think the people who are bringing their dogs should pay less than the people that are doing the watching, not the other way around. Because you're having to stand up with your dog, which is very difficult. And I don't know, 10, 20, 30 people are going to watch you have a private lesson as the recipient from whoever's the presenter. That's how I see it. So they get to see this person with this dog teach the dog how to do A, B, and C. Now, that might not relate to what they're doing with their dog at all, but they may learn something as a watcher that's a different way of actually working to achieve those end results. The person learning it, what do they learn? It depends on the quality of the teaching, very much so. They may
Mm.
learn to just change one thing that significantly alters what they're doing. Could they learn the whole process of luring? Absolutely not. It's far too
Mm.
compressed
Not.
and it's far too stressful an environment to take on a full lesson. And we had um, a 2-day event recently where it was luring was the topic, and before anybody woke their dog up because they're all snoozing somewhere in another room, we sat down and had, okay, so what would you like to learn? Oh, well, I want to learn how to teach my dog to walk backwards. Okay, can your dog already walk backwards? No, because I want to teach him how to do it. Okay, so can we taught this dog this, that, and the other? So
Mhm.
we probably spent 20 to 30 minutes me finding out what the person could do, asking them what they thought the behavior was, asking them what they'd already taught the dog, and then we started with the skills. And then you realize they can't do what they thought they could do, so we need to go another way around this. The dog was getting it, but it was a very, so now we need to change it again. I need to change it again. Great. She came back out the next day to do the same thing, and it had all gone. I'm like, okay, let's start
Oh,
again,
wow.
shall we? Oh, can you show me? How would it benefit me to show you that I know how to do it already? It's you that needs to go through
I
this
know how to
step by
work.
step.
Yeah,
So
I yeah.
when you're not with me for the rest of your life, you will be able to work on this. So it's a very weird, false, if you like, learning experience to be in that situation. Most people are nervous. The dog is probably going to pick that up, so they're not going to behave like they normally do. And unless you've got the disciplines that come off dog sports or something like that, where you can just shut out the rest of the room, your learning is there as a token of what could be done, not what is actually done. So
Hmm. I always worry about working
yeah,
slots.
especially
I
when they're
just
trying to
I just
fix something as well. You know, you've got a dog
Yeah,
that's got an issue with
yeah.
this. Okay, let's go through it step by step. So we're going to fix this dog, and often the presenter is then pushed to get to the objective
Get to
because
results.
that's what
Yeah.
people are paying to
Yes.
see, and that is often not for the benefit of the dog. And you'll say with something like the walking
Right.
backwards, I said, okay, so tomorrow you are going to go away and just practice this change in balance. Yes. But because I already have the skills to do this that you don't, I'm going to show you what you will do next week and then what you'll be doing next month. Now, because I've got the skills, the dog responded to me and was able, the dog can physically walk backwards. That wasn't the issue. The issue was her own body
Yeah, yeah.
language was contradicting what she was asking the dog to do. So once we got the body language from me correct, woof, the dog zoomed backwards, yeah, 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 the dog zoomed back, yeah. And sure enough, she's out in the car park doing it, and I'm going, oh God, wrong, you know, but
Oh,
not with the right body
yeah,
language. So the dog was
yeah.
going wrong again.
Which is good stuff.
So
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
you want to be able to say, I can only show you what you need to learn right now for this minute, which is a bit of a steal in the sense that I can't carry on showing you because I'm not going to be coaching you week by week. And as a teacher,
Right.
I find this a very frustrating learning situation. Again, it's just these little windows where you get to have a peek in at what you could learn, then go and find out how to learn it more. Yes, don't think just because you've had a 20-minute demonstration in the middle of a seminar, you've learned how to do it. It's inadequate. To me, it's inadequate. The only type of learning I would want under those are these sort of master classes where people are coming with a tremendous amount of skills. The master is be able to tweak it this way, add a bit of this, and everything just changes and comes in quickly. But that learner is already skilled at adapting what they're doing very quickly. So we had somebody in
Mhm.
class recently, and you're thinking, my goodness, he's good at getting this right. So what do you do for a living? He says, oh, I'm a professional golfer. Ah. So he'd spent a
Ah.
lifetime of being a sports learner. Yes, learning off people how to just alter his balance, change this way, look this way, you know. So the minute you started to teach him, just stand a bit quieter or stand a bit more upright, he just got it straight away. So that skill of that learner, that lesson was able to run through very quickly, and he remembered what he'd learned. So this learning, it's a tricky thing. I mean, we all want to go and learn something new, but you know, how does learning happen? You have an idea of what you want to learn. You pay somebody to have broken this down into the sort of steps that will take you in the right direction. Somebody that you can
Yes.
learn from that understands, you know, if I'd had the piano teacher that might have understood me a bit better, I might have enjoyed it far more. But she was passionate about what she wanted to try and teach us, no doubt about that. But it
Mm.
was chalk and cheese. We just really struggled for a good 8 years, and I don't know whether she ever. I don't know. I wish I could have gone back and said, "Do you realise I never actually learned what you were trying to teach me?" um, you know, learning in small steps and trusting that this coach, this teacher, is going to take you down the right avenue. Um, Then being able to build that process and make sure that what you're practicing is correct, because as you know, practice makes permanent, not just have a fling at it and see what works. As opposed to then maybe going to say, oh, okay, I need some more theories to be able to understand why I'm doing this way. Okay, this is the book I'd recommend. This is the material I want you to read. This is the exercise I'd like you to try. So your learning pathway is built out in front of you. And that's the sort of teaching I'd rather do, not like a, oh, you can learn all that you want to learn about luring in a 90-minute lecture. Oh, yeah, I've done that. Somebody said, "Oh, I've been to
It
Kay Laurence. She did
doesn't
a
work.
weekend." I said, "Well, you got about 0.3% of what I could teach you then."
Yeah.
Because there are
Yeah.
these presenters that just only have one topic, and once they've covered a weekend, you've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah. And then 10 years
Yeah,
later, they're
yeah.
still doing it.
Oops.
Oops. Oops. All right. We'll stop
No,
on
the
that note.
funniest thing is when you see somebody's PowerPoint presentation, you go, "That looks a familiar drawing. Where'd you get that from?" "Oh, I think one of my students had it." "Oh, really? Where do you think they got it from?" "I don't know. I didn't ask." I said, "Well, they got it from me." I recognize my own work when I see it on the screen. "Oh, really?" "Yes." Or they'll use a phrase and you go, so when you listen to people, you probably have it in agility. We have certain phrases over here that come off certain trainers. Yeah. And when you
Uh-huh.
hear your
Yeah.
student say that, where have you been going training then? Hmm? "Oh, nowhere." I said, "I know you've been
Uh-huh.
going somewhere because you're saying things differently."
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
somebody will say, "Do you go training with Kay Lawrence? How do you know?" It's just the way you say it.
Say it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah, well,
that
yeah, yeah,
obvious.
yeah, yeah. You get
Right.
shaped in a
Well,
class, you get
I
shaped by the other people in the class. No doubt about that.
yes.
So if 8 people in the class,
Yes.
one of them has never done any training, what they learn, they will learn as much from the teacher as the other people in the class. Because as you're watching people go through the exercise one by one, your brain is learning how they do it. We have
Mhm.
somebody in freestyle whose English is not their first language, and when he was teaching you how to teach the dog to go around you in a circle, tail first, he used the cue reverse. Yes, so if you and I say reverse,
Mhm.
reverse, but because he was teaching people reverse, and I still hear people today going
Reverse.
reverse, and I think, oh, have you been training with Taylor? Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
For more information and links to articles and courses, be sure to look at the episode notes. Please tell a friend, fellow trainer, or dog person to take a listen to the Learning About Dogs podcast and give us a rating on Apple iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening.